Well, my mom, she absolutely adores my dad, her husband. Well, there's a little thing that she needs to know. He's cheating. He's with her best friend. And he has a family with children. And nobody knows about it until I stumbled across something very shocking. And I'm going to tell my mom. I know she won't believe me. She'll probably blame me for it even. But I can't let her suffer. I'm going to walk you guys through it. And you're going to see exactly how I handle this. I grew up in a family of 5. My mom, my dad, my 2 siblings, and me. I'm the oldest. My parents were high school sweethearts. They started dating a year after my mom became a sophomore. My family would technically be what most people would refer to or consider as perfect, and to some extent we did seem to be that. Growing up, I knew many people who wished that they had parents like mine. Some were my buddies. I, too, wanted to have the kind of relationship they had one day. They were so in love that they would show it to everyone. My dad was caring, loving, soft-spoken, and logical. He believed in gentle parenting, but my mom simply did not. But that doesn't mean that she didn't love us. I mean, it was evident, but she never let us get away with half the things our dad did. I used to think they balanced each other nicely. I mean, he was the yin, and she was the yang. There was just something about the total trust and confidence my mom had in our dad that automatically demanded the same level of trust and, of course, devotion from me and my siblings. She loved and trusted him so much that he could never do anything wrong in her eyes. And my siblings and I started seeing him the same way too, and, to us, he was just the perfect husband and father. My parents were also financially comfortable enough that most people would even call us rich. See, my dad owned a car repair shop for vintage automobiles and even supercars. And my mom was a midwife at the local health clinic. I never really had much about some out-of-character things my dad did when I was younger. I didn't think about it. As I said earlier, we never imagined him to be anything other than a sweet, loving, loyal, caring father and husband. Well, knowing what I know now, I've realized that the signs have been there all along. Because, for instances, I started noticing some strangeness in his behavior 6 years ago. Just a few months after I turned 16, I woke up one night because somebody had forgotten to turn the heater off. So, I went downstairs to fix it, and I heard my father on the telephone with somebody else. He apologized for being unable to make it to dinner that night, and even promised to make it up to her some other time. It all seemed so dang bizarre, but like I said, we all had been engineered to believe our father was perfect. So instead of standing there and maybe listening to everything he always had to say, I just flicked on the light and stood there asking who he was talking to. I still remember the look of shock on his face as he said, that was just a client that I had dinner plans with tonight. But I just couldn't leave you guys to eat alone, so I bailed on her, buddy. The answer, it seemed plausible, right? Except for the small fact that the so-called client was calling him at 2 a.m. And he had to run downstairs to take the call. I didn't think of all of these then, though. I just believed him. Honestly, it never crossed my mind again until the past few months, so last month. My dad gets a text notification while we're all at the dinner table, and he swiftly gets up to excuse himself, saying he had an urgent emergency to tend to. Again, nobody suspected anything, especially not my mom. She just smiled and let him kiss her cheeks before walking out of the house, and he did not come back that night. Again, it seemed normal to us, so no one's suspicions were raised, and around this time I mistakenly overheard my mom asking my dad why he's been withdrawing sizable chunks of money from their joint account. He just told her he was, quote, investing in a business that would help boost our finances, and she bought it. Now, my parents had many acquaintances, businesses ones and casual ones, but they were only close with about 5 people. At least the ones I knew about, right? But the ones relevant to this story are Rebecca and Gladys. They've been best friends with my parents in high school. You see, Gladys and Rebecca were both stunning and charming ladies. However, when Gladys moved to UAE with her husband, my mom and Rebecca automatically became closer. And from then on, she just randomly started coming over to our house every Sunday to have lunch with us, and it somehow became a norm. Aunt Rebecca always had a seat reserved every Sunday, and my mom trusted her just as much as she trusted us 2 weeks ago.
Rebecca came over to the house for our Sunday lunch ritual, and it was the first time I've noticed something that made me suspect her and Dad. This might seem wild because, guys, I'm 22 years of age. I believe the signs have always been there, and did I mention Rebecca never got married? My mom once randomly told me that she would not get married because she felt like she wasn't family-oriented enough and didn't think that she'd be a good wife or mother. Anywho, a few weeks ago, she was over here and everybody was just having a splendid time. As usual, until I looked up and caught some sort of eye contact or communication thingy. I can't really explain it. That was going on between her and my father, minutes after she got up and excused herself to use the restroom. My mom and siblings were all sweetly aloof. Even as Dad excused himself and rose from the table within those same minutes, I watched him make his way towards the door that led to the restroom hallway, and I did not follow them. I didn't even know the reason why I didn't, maybe because I was too scared of what I thought or what I thought I would find, and I wasn't mentally ready for it yet. Perhaps I didn't want to make a fuss out of nothing either way. I just patiently waited until they both returned. They both looked fine except for Rebecca's flushed skin. I felt my skin crawl at the image of my brain conjured up, but I was still in denial. I mean, it was hard to accept that something was happening between them, because they were two people my mom trusted. So I don't know if I'm making a mountain out of a molehill right now, but my curiosity has peaked. I just shook this feeling off and went back to acting like I had not been noticing the strangeness in my dad's behavior, or the dinner with a client that happens every Wednesday, Friday, Saturday on a consistent basis. Also, maybe the fact that he suddenly has both a password and a passcode on his phone, which he never had before, and also the fact that there were no signs of any trust funds being kept aside for us. Even though the money still kept disappearing from the family account, it's all just weird, guys. It's weird. However, nothing is tangible to link my father and Rebecca together. It's evident to me already that he's having an affair, but I just needed to find out with whom, and if it's with the person I suspect it is. Maybe it would start a proper investigation, and to my suspicions be a good idea, or am I just doing too much, guys? Comment number 1 from the main post says, there's a possibility that you might be doing too much, but there's also a possibility that you might be onto something. I mean, there's only one way to find out. Follow your guts. Look into this whole matter. It might seem invasive, but remember, it's your family, and you deserve to know what's happening. Also, I understand your split-mindedness when reconciling the images that you had of your father while growing up, and this new one you're just discovering, especially since they're opposites. But then, things aren't always what they seem, and we often find that our whole childhood was nothing but one big lie. Could you keep us updated, though? Comment number 2. You should focus more on your studies. I mean, come on, young lady. And leave your parents' marriage alone. I'm sure they know how to work things out between them. They say you never really find something out until you're looking for it, so if you aren't a strong-hearted little person, pass on this one, because you might not like what you see. I understand the curiosity of a young mind, though, and you deserve to know what's going on, no matter how bad it seems. But it would help if you stayed out of married people's business. You might be an adult, but you're still a child in mind and action. What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. So today's story is wild. In my opinion so far, it looks like OP might be onto something. However, there's multiple updates we're about to unfold. In fact, I have 5 updates, and well, it might get a little crazy. If you guys are new to the channel, consider subscribing for daily animated stories of some of the wildest stories you've ever heard. Alright, let's jump straight into the first update, guys. Here it is. Update number 1. Hey, I'll be positive by ignoring the nasty comments and focusing on those who want me to continue the story. It's been exactly 1 month since I first posted, and I purposely refrained from posting any updates until I had something concrete to post. Let me start by telling you that I met with somebody on Tinder. We finally agreed to meet since she's staying and working in my city. She's a pediatrician, and we both had a date yesterday, and I even offered to pick her up. She agreed. So by 6 p.m. sharp, I was at the hospital lobby, and barely 3 minutes after I sat down to wait, I heard a voice. A voice that sounded oh so familiar, very much like my own father's. But then I thought I was trippin', because what would I be doing at a children's hospital? Yeah, my father has no reason to be there. So I got up to take a look, though just for confirmation, and right there in the flesh stood my father, and he was talking to somebody on the phone. I thought I knew what being confused meant until yesterday, because I didn't know what to do. Obviously, right? I wanted to confront him and understand what he was there for, but a part of my family, it made me want to firmly refuse. So I inconspicuously watched him. He finished with the call and started walking towards the opposite end of the hallway. Well, I followed him until he stopped in front of a room or a ward. He went in, then came out 2 minutes later with a blonde-haired boy of about 5 years of age, and he held the boy's hand as they both left. Again, I followed him, altogether abandoning my date, who, by the way, has not been taking my calls, and I was surprisingly calm as I drove behind my father. Maybe because I already knew the truth deep down. I wish I could have maintained the calmness when his car stopped in front of a strange house. I quickly pulled out my phone and first took pictures of his car. And I'm not even kidding right now. I felt like I was about to explode when I saw Rebecca appear in the doorway and kiss him before leading him and the boy inside. Well, I took a picture of that too. I'm not proud to say this, but if she had not kissed him, well, I would have told myself that maybe it wasn't all it seemed. Perhaps he was visiting her, but the puzzles were beginning to fit. All through last night, I could not stop wondering about our other dinners. We had to eat alone, thinking he was at work because of an impromptu emergency, but he was actually spending every single waking minute with them. With Rebecca? It feels unbelievable that my father would be able to be capable of such a grave deception and a two-faced liar. And yet I've always known at the back of my mind. And out of all the people to mess around with, why would he choose to do so with my mom's bestie? I mean, was he thinking? I don't know. Did he seriously believe he could keep playing right under our noses and we would never find out? And for how long? What about all the money that he's been taking out? I mean, where has it all been going? I have so many questions, but I'd say the most important one is whether I should tell my mom about this. Even though it's not my secret to share, I don't know how she would handle it, or even can, because this woman loves her husband. She might not even believe me, but, then I have proof. What if I tell her about everything, but she still stays with him? Wouldn't it be a waste of time? Plus, it'd make everything awkward between us as a family. I don't know what to do. And your advice and opinions would be highly welcomed. Update number 2. Hey everyone, I've not been okay and I'm so distracted by everything that's actually been happening, and I just need to get my crap together because I have an exam coming up soon. I have many questions like, what will happen to all of us now? How long should I keep acting like I know nothing? I don't know. I'm genuinely going crazy, and I don't know if I should confront my father first, but I don't want him to mess with my head. Let me tell you that I've returned to watch the house again, just to ensure that I have not been lucid dreaming and it was still there. Rebecca lives there, and no, that's not the house that we visited her in. And the one that we do see doesn't have 3 children playing on the porch and calling her mommy. I feel such intense emotions right now, and they all range from a pain and anger, a disappointment and betrayal. Being the only one carrying all this weight is not suitable for me or my mental health. But that's why I'm glad I'm able to share it, at least online, until I'm able to tell my family, and that's under huge probability. I don't want to be held responsible for breaking our, quote, perfect image, and I certainly don't want to be responsible for causing my mom pain by telling her all of this. She's soft about anything about my father, and I guess that's why love does this to a person. I don't know if I ever want to feel that powerless and weak. I don't. I decided that I'd drop hints that might help her find things for herself. That way I would not be held responsible for everything crashed and burned, and it keeps getting worse because not only does my father have kids with Rebecca, but they're also technically already married. I don't understand how my picture, public, perfect father got himself involved in all this. Getting married to another person while still being married is bigamy, and one can be charged for it, so automatically my mom has an edge over them both. But she would have to find out the foul play first, and I'll stop the update here. Hopefully, by the time I write the next one, my mom will already know things. Update number 3. Hey guys. In my last update, I said I would be dropping hints that would help my mom discover the truth by herself. Well, I did that. I started by making these snide comments about Rebecca, from her dressing to the fact that she might seem like somebody who would be having an affair with a married man that she can't have, and that's why she isn't married yet, and I know, not very subtle of me, and also, she's having an affair with a married man that she very much can have. With consequences, though, and I even asked my mom if she genuinely believed my dad has been faithful to her all throughout the years, and let me tell you, the last part nearly got me smacked in the face. So it's safe to say that all my hints flew right over my mom's head. I was also told, "Oh, don't be ridiculous, Riley," or "You shouldn't be talking about other people like that. It's not ladylike." Rebecca's a good person, and one day you'll see that. Well, like hell. I can't believe I was once this naive and trusting. I was about to give up and let fate do its own thing, when I accidentally found out what my father was planning. Again, I followed him last Wednesday, and I was not surprised when I stopped in front of the same house and went in. He had gradually made it a habit to not eat dinner with us since 3 times weekly, so he could go there, and we had all accepted that change and not suspected anything. I once thought the famous female instincts and premonitions might skip past her because she doesn't have any. Okay, back to the story yesterday. After my parents left for work, I went to their room. Just so I could see if I could find any other evidence, and I found worse. Right inside my father's files, hidden between multiple paperworks of the house and cars and mortgages, it was divorce papers, and they were for my mom. There was also a visa approval notice for a trip to Cuba and a copy of his will, which had Rebecca's name listed as his wife. Not my mom's name. He was planning on divorcing and leaving her with absolutely nothing. Guys, I'm 100% sure that he would never tell my mom the real reason she was, being left. And she would have undoubtedly thought it was because of something she did or said wrong or some imperfection that she had not had hidden or managed well enough. So I finally decided to tell her everything. I did so a few hours ago and I showed her everything. I won't even lie, I was scared. Guys, I'm still scared. As I type this, I'm sitting with her in her room. I won't let her out of my sight till I'm sure that she won't do anything to harm herself. She looks so drained right now, and I do feel bad for this. This was precisely what I've been avoiding. What should I do to help her through it? Update number 4. Hey guys, it's been about 14 days since my last update, roughly 2 weeks. My mom certainly did not take everything well. She lost a lot of weight, but told me she contacted her lawyer yesterday. She's suing him for bigamy. The funniest thing about this is that my dad still doesn't know what is even happening. I think he believes my mom's drastic weight loss and somber energy are because she's sick. She said that she would tell him something when her lawyer mailed him the papers alongside the divorce papers. The only downside to all this is watching her lose her sunshine every single day. She hasn't smiled more than 3 times since I told her this, and I've been trying to cheer her up. My brother and sister already know, and I told them, they too have been trying to help me get our mom out of the gloominess. But it seems like nothing is really working. I spent months contemplating the right thing to do, and now I don't think I did the right thing. She deserves better, but she refuses to believe that. Instead, she silently is mourning the death of her marriage with a man who disrespected her, manipulated her, lied to her and cheated on her, and I can't believe I used to wish for a man like my father. Thank goodness these things don't work automatically. I would have been stuck with a man who doesn't value effort. Although I'm not sure after all this I could trust a man enough to even ever marry him, knowing very well that he might wake up one day and decide to make another family with my best friend. Final updates. Hey guys, well, I'm back. This is probably it, and I just want to take a time out and appreciate the people who have been here for me. Thank you. I do appreciate it. Well, the divorce has finally been done, finalized, and the court trial against my dad for bigamy has started. They say he might get up to a 5-year sentence. As for his marriage with Rebecca, it's been declared null and void. She's currently going through a lengthy legal battle to have it appropriately annulled, and I feel bad for the children. But he already left them a good amount of money, so they're insured. At the end of the trial, my mom would be entitled to compensation, and I don't know how much yet. And these things vary, but I'm glad that she would get something. It's not going to ease the pain, but it still might be something. Right? I don't know. I talked to her about seeing a therapist, but she just ignored me, and deep down I felt like she was blaming me for all this. I already knew it would result in this, but it hurts. I never intended to hurt her like this. I just thought she deserved to see the man that she was married to. This whole thing has been a roller coaster of emotions, and I've learned a lot, and one of the best things I've picked up from this is that someone, a man, your man, can be doing everything right and still live a double life. He might seem perfect and nurturing, but he is a whole other family and a lot of ugly skeletons in his closet. Another thing is that you're doing everything right for a man, but it's still not enough. You see, my mom, she was the perfect wife. She was loving, she was dedicated, loyal, happy, rarely nagged. She gave him 3 beautiful children. I mean, come on, but she was still cheated on. Maybe he thought of her as boring and wanted something exciting, but hey, she wasn't dull. She was in love. The saying that men don't know what they want may be true. I can't imagine myself in her shoes right now because they hurt. She's like a shadow of her former bubbly self. And it even got worse after her one-on-one conversation with my dad before his trial began. I told her not to, but for some reason she just believed she needed to speak to him for the last time for, quote, closure. Well, as expected, he started with an apology and then blamed the devil for tempting him. He told her Rebecca never meant as much as she did to him. He confessed that all the nights he was having dinner with us, he was having it with them. The night that he suddenly jumped up and practically bolted out the door to deal with a, quote, emergency, well, it was Rebecca, texting to tell him that their daughter was sick, and that they had sent him off like that, and he also said that he used the money he took out of the joint account to open a trust fund for them because he didn't think we needed it. Well, finally, he denied even ever planning to run away with her to Cuba, and he said that he's been planning to go alone, solo, which is hilarious because that explanation, it did not change anything. I'm just delighted that for once my mom did not believe everything that came out of his mouth. I don't feel bad for my dad, not even a little. He disrespected our family and broke his marriage vows, and I'm surprised at how unaffected I am about him going to jail because he used to be my hero. Not anymore, though, since he indirectly called us basically stupid by doing all these things right before our own eyes. I have nothing against those children, though I'm unsure if I will ever claim them as my siblings.